there's ice cream here. I can get some ice cream. Ferndale, cute little town. FY. All right, we are looking at day 4 here on my trip from Kearney, Nebraska to the coast, the Pacific coast out west. And today is the day that I will reach the Pacific Ocean. So that's one of the primary things about this segment of the trip. I camped near Hat Creek, California, and then I'm going to take Highway 299 to my campsite, which is near Willow River, I think, Willow Creek, California, which is in the mountains just above the coast. And then I will actually, by the end of the day, work my way down to the coast, a beach just outside of Ferndale, California. All right, well, we're driving down to the Pacific Ocean. So it's a beautiful drive through this canyon. I'm not quite sure what the canyon is called or what this river is here. Highway 299 in California. Stopped for a bike ride. It was all right, you know, probably my least exciting or interesting one that I've done on this trip. I mean, it was fine. I pedaled up a double track or gravel road for 1,000 feet up and 4 miles in for about 45 minutes and then flew down. Probably took me 10 minutes to get down. I mean, it's kind of fun going down, but I really like being out in the woods more. And I mean, I was in the woods. This is a forest road. But there's just something with all that space. It just doesn't seem the same. I like those tight quarters. I don't know why. It's interesting and exciting. I feel like I'm like part of nature as opposed to just having nature around me. But I mean, it was still good. Got a good workout. Wasn't sure I was going to bike today. I didn't feel great yesterday afternoon, evening. I think I was, just dehydrated and hungry, and I was driving through the desert. I have air conditioning and all that stuff, but man, it's difficult to stay hydrated out here. Probably dehydration. I eat a lot of salty snacks when I'm traveling. Throw in the occasional sweet there. But I mean, I had one of those dehydrated meals backpackers use. It was 29 grams of protein and probably tons of sodium. Felt a lot better after I ate that and slept well last night. So with this trip, I will see classic things like Mount Shasta. I want to, it's difficult for me. I'm a very curious person and I want to do everything. I want to see everything, right? So, I mean, it was very difficult for me to decide how this section between Ely, Nevada and California, it's very difficult for me to decide how to go. So eventually I sort of settled on this route that I could see this northern part of Northern California I've never seen. And then I could work my way down to the coast. And California Highway 299 looked on the map like a very interesting trip. So I do a lot of research before I go places, but I don't want to know everything. I want some surprises, and that for me that's what it's about. It's about exploring and seeing and learning new things and experiencing them firsthand. So, and sometimes that experience firsthand can be diminished if I know too much. So, anyways, this section here, I'll go through Redding, California, and I'll follow, now I got to think of the river, the Trinity River to the Pacific. Beautiful. I got up early, of course. Most time when I'm camping, I get up early. So beautiful sunrise, and that's where I'm seeing Mount Shasta. That's one of the things I wanted to see. I would love to go to Mount Shasta, but man, that would just add more time. This ends up being a little less than on the map, it's a little less than 5-hour drive. It probably took me closer to 7 or 8 hours because of my stopping. But, beautiful sunrise, seeing the sunrise over Mount Shasta, seeing that sunrise in the fog and mist as I'm elevating up in the mountains. And then I see these power lines, and it's just a beautiful sight, not that, I don't think I usually think of power lines as beautiful, but it was just a beautiful sunrise with these power lines. And then, I encountered this wonderful oak grove And you see that often in like movies. I don't even think about these things, but psychologically, there, I was driving by, and I saw this grove of oaks. I'm like, man, that's so iconic. That's such an interesting shot. And it was nothing. It wasn't a park. Looked like there'd been a fire there or something. But so I stopped at this grove of oaks as the sun was rising. I took this wonderful photograph with the sun coming through an oak. I took it in, of course, many different formats there. So that was, an interesting stop, which is just a nothing. And these are the things you can't find on the map, right? These are the things you can't necessarily plan if you haven't been some places. Just understanding these places on that meta level. The parks that you look at, those are good guides. Waterfalls, can also, those very popular things to see, and I'm no different. I love a good waterfall. So this is Crystal Creek Falls, and there are many falls that I wanted to do. There's Bernie Falls, which was bigger and more dramatic than this, but ultimately I decided it was just probably too populated and just a little too far off the path, right? It wouldn't have been terrible, but just would have added that much more time. And I could wander all day, so I try to make sure I have time for the things I need to do. So I found Crystal Creek on a map, and it was hard to decide. So many waterfalls along this route. I just chose this one, and I was, I think, very pleased with my selection in the end. It was a beautiful pool. Took a nice swim in there. Got some wonderful photographs, though I also almost destroyed one of my cameras as I slipped and fell on the rocks as I was trying to hustle down to this scene that we see here. Trying to get away from the falls. The falls are just one part of this creek, and I want to understand things more deeply than just the surface beauty of the most iconic pieces of them, getting into them. So I wanted to head down the creek a little bit and see a little bit more. Doing that, I slipped on rocks, which I was very conscious of. I'm very conscious of how slippery rocks can be. I'm traveling by myself. I know I need to be careful. Something happens to me, it could be bad. Nonetheless, I slipped, but I was able to catch my fall, right? It was a very slow slip, but there was no stopping. But I ended up putting my camera down to catch me, and my camera ends up in the water. So I had to take it apart and pull out the batteries and let it sit in the sun. So I wasn't very pleased with that development, but there's nothing I can do about it, right? But I had lots of cameras, though I only brought one digital SLR body. I don't know why that was, but I brought like 8 cameras, but only one digital SLR body. So I dried that out and hoped for the best. So, anyways, it's just so impressive. And I've had this experience before, but when you're in Nebraska, you do actually go down. Like Nebraska is just one big incline. You're either going up to the mountains or down, but it feels flat, right? You don't feel like you're going up or down typically. It's pretty consistent in its grade. But here, it's just so dramatic with this beautiful river, big mountains surrounding me. A lot of forest fires have happened here. Just beautiful. So excited to get to the Pacific, see the redwoods, realizing I camped a little further from the redwoods than I wanted, but that's fine. I think I'm going to make it a beach afternoon, find a good beach this afternoon. And then getting to the coast, the beach, was just so nice because it was, the interior west of America is so dry and hot. It was like 90 was most days I was there, and dry is difficult to say hydrated, right? And where I camped in California, Willow Creek was, 2,500 feet up. So it was dry. And that dryness you could see because I actually passed through a number of places where there were forest fires and burned areas. I could stop to a place people were fishing and rafting, but across there is just these mountains just burned, trees gone, right? Just so dry and hot. So when I got set up my camp, my phone was actually freaking out and not functioning properly, and that also could not be a good thing. So it was an easy decision that, okay, I needed to go down to Eureka, the biggest town nearby, and see if I could get my phone fixed. I'm like, heck, as long as I'm doing that, I'm going to find a beach. So I looked on a map and I found an area that looked like a nice little beach. And what I liked about it was it looked like a beach, but it didn't have a name to it. So that meant there would be maybe not a lot of people there. And I got there and it was, it was packed for what it was, but there wasn't a lot of people there. And it was just outside of Ferndale. It was such a beautiful place. These palm trees crack me up. I don't know why I am in California. I just got done at the beach at Ferndale. Loved it. Loved it. Just spent 2 or 3 hours there, just meandering, as I tend to do. I love a good meander. Just photographing birds and water and sand and feet and sea stacks, and I didn't really go anywhere. I was within a quarter-mile radius. I mean, that's pretty generous. Really spent most of my time within probably a 50-yard radius. I love the ever-changing. That's the thing with the beach. It's so simple, right? Sand, water, sky. That power of water and the power of an ocean as large as the Pacific, just sitting there letting the waves come in up to my knees and then them going out, right? When they're going out, they're trying to pull me in. Like it wants to just take everything in. It's so powerful. You can feel the sand on your feet just eroding. It just wants to flip you up and drag you under. Or I'm hoping we can change course and learn to live more with nature. And so that was just such a beautiful reminder to be on there and feel that tug, to feel that pull, to feel that pulse of the ocean and know that it's alive. It's a living thing, much greater than any singular one of us or probably collective of us. So, and after that, I just headed back. I did get my phone fixed. It was broken, and then headed to my campsite. But the endless permutations of that, moment for moment, water crawls up onto the sand, a bird flies by, the clouds part, the sun comes out, sun goes back. Waves calm down, birds are gone, people walk by, clouds move. You're never going to take the same photograph. That's true anywhere, right? I mean, it's always going to change. But just within those moments, within those few moments, you're never going to take the same photograph. Every moment is its moment. And that's beautiful to me.